Good morning, children. We had stopped with an exercise which I gave you. I asked you to complete that exercise. And now we'll just check whether you remember what we had discussed in the previous class. We had spoken about reversible and irreversible changes. Now let us check the examples. Making of furniture from wood is an irreversible change where we cannot get the wood back. Okay? The shape of the wood is totally changed. Tearing a paper into pieces is also irreversible because we cannot get the original paper back. Shaping Play-Doh into a cube again is a reversible. Melting of ice is reversible. Stretching a rubber band also is reversible. Burning is irreversible. Trimming your hair also is irreversible because you cannot get back your long hair. Cooking is irreversible. Preparing dough from flour also is irreversible because we cannot get the flour back. But blowing a balloon is reversible because you can, like, once you withdraw the air, again you get back the original balloon. So now we continue with two other type of changes, that is physical change and chemical change. Now this is in some way related to what we studied about the reversible and irreversible changes. Let us see what is a physical change. It's a change in which matter changes its form but not its chemical identity. That means the form of the substance might change. Like, for example, tearing of paper. Initially, you had a bigger sheet, now you have a smaller sheet or a smaller piece. Okay, so the form or the size changes, but the chemical nature doesn't change, it is still paper. Okay, so that type of change is a physical change. But as a change where something new has been formed is called as a chemical change. Like, for example, burning of wood. When you burn wood, you get carbon dioxide, right? And you get water, anything you burn. So there is something new that is formed. So it comes under chemical change. Mixing vinegar with baking soda. There is a chemical reaction that you can see that's happening, and the end result is a totally new product. So that comes under a chemical change. You have decomposition happening, banana peels rotting up, firecrackers bursting, and so many other such changes you see around you where there is a totally new substance that is formed. So that comes under a chemical. Here, under physical change, we see melting of ice, shredding of paper that we discussed just now. It is still paper, right? Though the shape has changed. Then mixing gray and green marbles. Okay, so both have their own individual identity, though they are mixed together. This type of change again is a physical change. Okay, even chopping of wood, the bigger log of wood, and now there are many smaller pieces, but all of them are wood. That's again a physical change. Now we come to the different types of physical changes. Physical changes could be of different types. That is melting. All types of melting come under physical changes. It could be melting of ice, it could be melting of wax. Evaporation, where a liquid changes into its vapor state. That also comes under a physical change because after condensation we get back the liquid. And splitting of substances, here also. Original structure simply changes in form, but the chemical identity of the substance remains the same. So that also comes under the physical change. Squeezing or bending or making different shapes with Play-Doh. So all this comes under physical change because there is only change in the shape, okay, and the size of the material. Even dissolving comes under physical change because the property of the substance is not changing. You dissolve sugar in water, the water becomes sweet, and once you evaporate the water, you can get back the sugar. So it is a physical change. There is change only in the physical form. There is no change in the chemical structure of the substance. So now let's summarize physical change. Let's see the characteristics of physical change. Physical change affects only the physical properties of a substance, such as the size, shape, and state. And in a physical change, the molecules of the substance involved do not change. There is no new substance that is formed. These changes can be either reversible or irreversible, and the amount of energy required to carry out these changes is also very small because the chemical nature of the substance is not changing. So, with less amount of energy, these changes could be brought about. Now we'll see the different types of chemical changes. When is the chemical nature of the substance changing? That's when we cook food. When we cook food, the original ingredients that we put totally change. Okay? There are chemical reactions that are happening because of which the food gets cooked. So that is a chemical change. Same way burning, when we burn any material, we get a totally new substance that is formed. Growth of living organisms also comes under chemical change because growth happens by adding new substance to the body. The addition of more and more new substances we studied in the food chapter. More and more nutrients are added and then we grow. That's again a chemical change. Rusting of iron also is a chemical change because there is a totally new substance that is formed. The original iron reacts and forms an oxide. It's totally new substance that is formed. So rusting also comes under a chemical change. So now here we'll summarize chemical change. We'll look into the characteristics of chemical change. In a chemical change, a reaction occurs between the reactants and there are new substance that is formed which is termed as the product. Mostly they are irreversible in nature, cannot be reversed. And as compared to the physical changes, chemical changes require a considerable amount of energy. You can see for burning as well as for any other type of cooking and any other type of chemical change you see, there is a large amount of energy that is required. Okay, so compared to physical change, chemical changes require a large amount of energy. Now, let's check on physical and chemical changes. At this time, we have certain statements given and we need to check whether it is true or false. Okay, so these questions you will be doing for your homework, all right, and then there is another activity also that you're supposed to do. I'll just show it to you in the next slide. So here we have an activity for you. You have to observe these changes and classify them as either reversible or irreversible and as physical or chemical change. For each material in the inference column there will be two terms. It will be either reversible or irreversible, and it could be either physical or chemical. Okay? So there are around 7 materials given. You will be doing the procedures given here on these materials and then finding out the influence. You can select any 5 materials. Minimum 5 you need to do. If you can do all, it's well and good. Just do these procedures given and find out the inference, whether it is a reversible or irreversible change and physical or chemical change. I'll get back to you in the next period. Till then, children, complete the exercise and also the activity and read the textbook. Thank you.